Let's consider the Old Testament context, the Septuagint. The second and more important source for Mark is, of course, the book of the prophet Isaiah, the so-called second Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 40 verse 9 and 52-7 use the verb evangelizomai, meaning to preach the gospel, to describe the news of Yahweh's return to Zion and the end of the Babylonian captivity. For example, we read, "Go up to the high mountain of Zion, you who bring good tidings." And further, "How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him who brings good tidings." Thus, Mark positions his writing as the fulfillment of ancient prophecies about God's eschatological visitation to his people. The gospel here is not simply the biography of some sage. It is about the proclamation of the royal enthronement of God in the person of Jesus Christ. Let us now turn to the word, Son of God, and examine the textual problem of the title, Son of God. The phrase, Son of God, at the end of verse 1 is the subject of intense scholarly debate. Various manuscript traditions provide conflicting evidence, which is of colossal importance for Mark's Christology. Notice that from the very first verse, the evangelist declares to the reader, Jesus is the Son of God. And also in chapter 1:11 and chapter 9-7, God the Father confirms this at the baptism and transfiguration. And at the very end of chapter 15:39, the Roman centurion at the cross becomes the first person to confess this truth. Truly, this man was the Son of God. Without chapter 1-1, the reader would remain in ignorance regarding the nature of Jesus, sharing the disciples' confusion until the crucifixion. With the title in chapter 1-1, Mark creates a situation of dramatic irony. The reader knows what the characters do not. Let us pay attention to the prophetic overture. Mark says in chapter 1-2-3, as it is written in Isaiah, "Behold, I send my messenger before your face, who will prepare your way before you." And then it says, "The voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, make his paths straight." Quote. Here it should be noted that Mark is the only evangelist who begins his narrative with a complex, compound quote, attributing it to a single author, Isaiah, although in fact it is a compilation of 3 Old Testament texts. Let's now turn our attention to the structure of the compound quote. This phenomenon is known in scholarly literature as fusion. Mark combines texts based on keywords, thereby following the rabbinic principle of interpretation. Let's look at the components of the quote. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 23, verse 20, where it says, "Behold, I send my messenger before your face to keep you in the way." God promises to lead the people of Israel into the promised land. Mark reinterprets this as a new Exodus. That is, the coming of Jesus Christ is a new Exodus. Next is the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 1. "Behold, I send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me." In the original text, we see a certain eschatological warning. That is, the messenger Elijah comes before the day of the Lord for judgment. In Malachi, the messenger prepares the way of God himself before me.